And good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. Hello, Lucky. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? All right. So we're going back to the gallery and mining. Are we mining the best metal yet? Well, I'm not at. Come on, I'm not at that level yet. I'm still dealing with pay dirt, so I expect slash hope that iron and copper are on the level below, but I need to expand before I get there. And all right, so this is where I'm at. You're surprised anybody is streaming at 5:30 in the morning? Well, 5:30 in the morning is not particularly early for me. Why do I take dirt out for meals if dirt doesn't pay for its meal? I because I figure that if I do it often enough, it'll get the message and finally start paying. But no, 5:30 is not particularly early for me. I've been no, we are not exiting. I've been up for an hour already. You're down, down. What's it? You've been up for 22 hours. Pulling in an all-nighter, didn't manage to fall asleep. Yeah, that happens. That's not good. Um, Once in a while, I get hit by insomnia, and then I'll be streaming at something like 2 in the morning. But I am working. I'm making effort to not get out of bed early. All right. You have ADHD? Yeah, same here. ADHD is prevalent in the creator. Well, within the creator community I'm in, the writers, it is very prevalent. Literally, just about every writer I know has ADHD. Yes. Yes. This is my website. Level 53. I also stream it on the Tiger Rights. Oh, thank you, James. You were faster than I was. Yep, Sybil is somewhat another writer. She is also the head of House Lapin, which is part of Game of Tome, which is a community slash event run by her and other people within the community. But on the weekend, I do not work. On the weekend, I am a tiger that plays games. I also do that on the evening, but that's because the day's over at that point. I get to rest and relax. Yeah. Give me a moment. I need to take care of something. Alrighty. Hey, but it plays. Welcome to the stream. No, this is laundry. Bread is tomorrow. Tomorrow is when I make bread. All right, let's get back to work. But I now have it so that wow. I no longer interrupt. How do I make bread from scratch? I make sourdough bread. So, sourdough starter, flour, salt, and I'll prepare the dough tonight, let it rise overnight, and then tomorrow I will put it in the I will shape it. And yeah. Bread is, with a bit of practice, bread is very easy to make. Ecolo, welcome to the stream. What are you up to today? Feels like the bucket's not as responsive as it usually is. You've seen Outdoor Boys clips where he makes bread with just flour and salt and water. And the fire, I wonder why it works so well without yeast. Well, the lack of okay, yeast is there to make your bread fluffy. It makes your bread lighter. If you don't use yeast, you end up with a dough that's a lot denser. It's still good. I mean, we've made we as society as humans have made a yeastless bread for far longer than we've made yeasted bread. But you can simulate yeast by using a bit of baking powder, baking soda. Well, but I'm generalizing on Earth, so there's more of them than us. As for the precise measurement, if you're not going for something a very specific result, you can get away with it without precision. You know, because bread is a lot about the texture. So if you do it often enough, you get a sense for what the dough should feel like as you work it. As with many things, the big factor is, what the goal is. If you're looking to impress, then yeah, you want to make sure that you are that you going with precision, because small changes in making bread will affect the texture, will affect the flavor. But if all you're looking is to feed yourself, to provide energy, so long as it's there, it's going to get the job done. It's, like I said, it's a lot about yeah. Well, as with pretty much everything, practice, makes better. But yeah, like in this case with this person, like the odds are that they've done it often enough that that they know, and like I don't know about that specific video, but the ones I've seen, the guy, his bag is pre-measured. It's clearly pre-measured. Like he's got a fixed amount of flour in the bag, so he probably, he may have done his measurement ahead of time. He may have measured, before preparing everything. Like I said, I don't know what the video you watched, what he did. But basically, what the guy ends up making is a version of a yeastless dough. And unless he takes the time to go through, like unless he goes, these are the ingredients I've put in that goes into making my bread. There might also be, he might have added a baking powder to the flour ahead of time. Someone who is not doing specifically a baking show isn't really required or expected to give, the entire process. And this is not to say that he did that he he did an actual bread or not. Like it can very well be a yeastless dough, a yeastless dough. That is a thing. He balls it with Gouda and berries and the coal and flattens it. If he flattens it, then I am. I would say it's probably a yeastless dough, because flatbreads are a lot easier to be. A flatbread works better than a thick bread if without the yeast, because it is flat. Maybe I should have been a baker. No. This is experience because of I bake bread every week. So I've learned stuff. But I don't like baking enough that I would have wanted to do it for a living. Baking is very baking for a living, as in a factory. And the thing is, I worked in a commercial bakery when I was a teenager. I did a full summer there, and it was nice. It was but it's not something. It did not make me want to do it for a living. No, that's neat. To clear the ceiling. But yeah, like if you can afford it, that's the thing. Like if you can afford it, making bread is a fun thing to practice, to try, see what happens. What happens when you do X to your bread. Was it a fun summer job? Um, I wouldn't. Well, no, I wouldn't say it was fun. I basically, I had a, I my job was to replace the people on the chain as they took their breaks. So I went in for 4 hours in the afternoon and 4 hours in the middle of the night, which completely screwed up my day 5 days a week. And on the weekend, I was just too tired to do anything because I wasn't getting proper sleep. It was an interesting experience. I'm glad I did it. Uh, but when they called the next summer and asked if I wanted to come back, I went, no, no, thank you. Uh, and back then, like, if I hadn't been the um, shy is the wrong word, but I'm something of an introvert. Um, it may not come across here because uh, you guys on the other side of a screen, so it's not the same experience. But in public, I'm very reserved until I gain confidence. And I never did gain confidence in that environment simply because of I was a teenager. Uh, you know, I have no doubt that there were nice guys there because yes, everybody on the floor was a guy. But yeah, like it was an interesting experience, but no, I would not call it fun. Um, if they would have given me a better position, I don't know. I I doubt. Okay, after that summer, no, because that's the only experience I had, and like I said, it was not a fun experience. If instead of doing, uh, replacement shifts like that, I had started as a regular line worker, yeah, maybe because the work on the line itself was nice. Like the people were the guys were there were good guys and all that. So if that had been my experience, yeah, it's entirely possible that I would have gone back there the next summer. 5 words of editing, James. The Artistocracy Chronicles. Congratulations. Um, Book two. Cool. Yeah. Instead, the next summer, I went working in my grandfather's mattress factory, which I did that for 2, maybe 3 summers. And after that, I was old enough that I left school and entered the work market. I was 18, 18, 19 after that. Yeah, I can't say that I regret many of the jobs I had, as any of the jobs I took, as I yeah I as I worked, but you want to become a woodworker, even though that's more of a hobby than a job, or a zoologist. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'm not much of a maker when it comes to physical stuff. I I will fix problems or try to, but I'm very much more intellectual than anything else. And that's not to say I'm clever, smart, or a scientist or anything like that. But my strength is more intellectual than it is. Uh, so not so much carpentry, but sculpting and using wood as your material. My dad did that as a hobby, purely as a hobby. But yeah, my dad did sculpting for a few years. Um, Me and my dad are similar that way. That we'll get interests for a while, and then they'll taper away, and we'll move on to something else. Um, the one that stuck for him is clarinet. He plays the clarinet. He plays in an orchestra. Well, actually, it's more of a band. And for me, it's writing. Writing is the one thing that I picked up, that I stuck with, that I fell in love with. Yes, I am a full-time writer. Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. on Twitch. And I love it. Um, Not all of them, but yeah, I do my writing on Twitch, live on Twitch. because, a number of those books predate me being on Twitch. I I am very fluent in typo-ease at this point. I've been on the internet for so long that it's typo-ease is basically a second language to me. Well, actually a third, because English is my second language. English hugs me like your rash. No, English is nicer to me than a rash. French. I'm French Canadian. Quebecer, to be more exact. You too? Okay, are you out of Quebec? I'm a good Frenchie. Is there such a thing as a good Frenchie? You're in Saint-Jérôme and Saint-Anne-des-Plaines. That's in Quebec, isn't it? Or is that? Oh, okay. No, I meant the province. I meant the province. I'm from Trois-Rivières originally. Now you hear it in my voice. I used to get so annoyed when people could hear my accent. Because I worked. Well, I worked. I tried to get rid of it. When I moved, like, I honestly do not know what Quebec is like anymore. But when I was a teenager, the language police was in full force. And the Quebec attitude as a province was that if you dared speak English, you were basically a criminal. And I fell in love with the English language young, mainly because I read science fiction and I watched science fiction on TV. And back in the 70s and 80s, there wasn't much on the level of, French science fiction on television, or even and French science fiction in Quebec specifically. I know France and Europe as a a community like that, but it didn't really reach Quebec. And back then, translation took years to reach Quebec. So just because of my interest in the English language, I didn't have a choice. I had to learn the language. Sorry, my interest in science fiction, I had to learn English. And my dad, I was really, really fortunate. Enjoyed the lurk, James. I was really fortunate. My dad, my dad was not an English speaker. Like he was functionally fluent, but he understood the value of knowing the English language. So when he realized that I liked the English language, he encouraged me to keep with it. The problem is in Quebec, there's not a lot of place to practice it. And as I, in my teens, me and my friends, it turns out that each of us enjoyed the English language for our own reasons. So when we were as a group, we only spoke English. And oh, did we get looks in coffee shops when we would hang out there and speak in English? Oh man, at one point we were told to get out. Not by the owner, by another customer, but he literally went, get out of here. So, okay, what broke? At that point, when I moved to Ontario, my mindset was definitely, I'm never speaking French again. That's a RAM. Oh, there we go. RAM. And I want this to be high quality. And let's get rid of this guy. Yeah, but we're talking the 80s back then. So I would, well, now I speak French as needed, and I don't make a deal of it. When I was a trucker, I would not speak French. When I started, I basically boycotted the French language when I was a trucker. And at some point, to me, the most amusing thing is at some point I worked for a company based out of Quebec, and I worked for them for probably 5 or 6 years before anyone there realized that I knew how to speak French. And I know that they hated me for that, but to me it was just so damn amusing. Nowadays, I'll speak French if I go to Quebec. If I visit, I speak French with my folks. Like, they are not, like I said, they are not fluent. Like, my dad is functionally, like, he can get by. Like, if you dump it in the middle of an English country, he'll manage. My mom will probably not manage. But, when I go visit them, I speak French. Like, same with my extended family, who is pretty much all in Quebec. And if I happen to be, if somebody happens to speak to me in French, I will respond to them in French. Like, I'm no longer vindictive about the way I was treated because I spoke English, because I wanted to speak English. I mellowed out a good deal as I aged. I'm like, is it wine that mellows as it ages or something else? So, but oh yeah, I'm born in Quebec. Like, I'm born in Trois-Rivières. Both my parents are native Quebecers. Wine becomes stronger. Okay, as you may tell, I'm not a wine drinker. I'm not an alcohol drinker. I do not care for alcohol. But yeah, like I mellowed as I grew older. I know, like, at this point, like, I'm not, I'll speak whatever language I need to speak to get myself understood, and I won't make a big deal of it. I will default in English but it's now mainly because it's a habit. Like I speak, I'm in Ontario, so I speak English 99.99999% of the time. I'm on Twitch, and my writing community is Anglophone from all over the world. So I don't have, I'm not in a situation where I'll speak French a whole lot. But when I find myself in a situation where I need to speak French, then I speak French. I Like I said, I'm no longer vindictive about it. Right, I should go check in on something before I get another disaster. Oh, okay, there's barely any dirt in here. We're good. I don't know if you're familiar with the game Lucky, but when this gets full, it automatically throws the excess out. And I lost track of how full it got at one point, and I ended up. And because of how the mechanics work, it will go down through the ground to the next open space, which happens to be, right here. So I ended up, this got completely refilled with dirt, and I couldn't, until I went up and saw that, I could not figure out why. That was an experience. That was amusing. Or some version of the definition of the word. Would I say that yeastless is better or worse than with yeast? Um, it's neither. It's entirely a preference thing. Um, I've never really made yeastless, so I can't speak to the amount of work that goes into it. Uh, but it really depends what you're going for. Like, if you want a pita type bread, yeastless is probably better. Like if you want to make a wrap, it might very well be better. If you want to make a sandwich, then you want yeast because you want your the bread to have a certain level of lightness to it. it's it's very much personal preference and what the quote unquote end goal is. Yeah, it depends if you want the fluff. Yeah, that I think is a good way of describing it. Ah, come back here. Why don't I dig the dirt part from the edge? What do you mean, the dirt from the edge? We dig, always dig high. Why not lower on the edge of the... Oh, you mean this gap right here? Okay. The reason I don't... This is 200 centimeters. So this is 2 meters in height. Although that's actually not true because I'm not taller than 2 meters. Um, but what I discovered is that if I cut it close to that, then I need to raise it 3 times to cover all the way to the ceiling. And by going at this height, which is 350, I can do the rest. I only need to do it twice, and this will be taken out when I remove the wall and dig deeper. Once I've done all the this entire side, I will move deeper into it. This is to control the evenness of how I do it. So, since this is going to vanish the next time as I expand, I realize that I don't need to worry about it right now. And it allows me to remove one step in cleaning the entire height of the wall. So the reason is a practical issue. It allows me to save a little bit of work. The reason why I don't dig really deep at one time is that precision, I mean, that's not what I wanted, but you can tell how uneven everything is. So doing something evenly is a little difficult. By using the wall and giving myself that's a place to stop, it allows me to do something of a flat wall, and it's the look I prefer. And doing it step by step ensures that I don't lose track of where I'm at because I have a specific size I'm going for. It the bottom line is it has a lot to do with how my mind works. I like being systematic. I like being a little neat. And this, it allows me to do that. It gives me certain level of control. Turbo, okay. That that works for me. Like it's a like ultimately the answer is it's how I like it. What? How the hell does a used turbo 1712? How does a used turbo cost more than the high quality one? And why is the built turbo? Why does the built turbo have a higher? Okay. Sun is starting to rise. Oh, that could be. I'm in the basement, so I don't know those things. What the hell? Okay, there we are. So does that mean that you need to go do stuff? You got to train buildings in front of your window? Yeah. I'm a basement dweller. Always been. In my parents' house, my bedroom was in the basement by choice. Well, not entirely by choice. We had a bungalow-style house, so not a lot of space. Two bedrooms on the ground floor, and then it's the basement. We did not have a second. My parents don't have a second floor, and my bedroom was on the ground floor for a while. But then they renovated and made the kitchen wider and moved stuff around, and the cost was that bedroom. And no reason, but you want kind of just that were bad bedrooms that have been on the ground floor. I think cool. But yeah, but then, at that point we lost a bedroom, and somewhere around that time, my parents stopped sleeping in the same bed. And that's when the basement was finished. And it became my room, and I like this was never a complaint on my part. I like basements. Okay, so that's the back. I've always been a basement dweller. So now that I have my own house, well, now I've had my house for a while now. But in my own house, I'm also a basement dweller. You like that same time having the view of the stuff? That's cool. Yeah, I've never been one to look outside. Long paragraph. Those stuff is slowly starting to be more and more awake. Well, that's cool. Being awake is a good thing, I'm told. So what are your plans for today, Lucky? You don't know? Well, I hope that you find something interesting to do. So that was basically. Might get snacks. Cool. For me, once my gaming is done in about an hour and a half, it will be doing errands, taking care of stuff, and coming back at about 12:30 for the Tiger Tries, and I'll be trying mainline sequence today, which is a factory game. Really? Okay, how that... Really? Did I not set that up at the proper height? Come on. Really? I really wish the hitbox was a little better. No, can't do anything about it, so... Idrenier, I own Idrenier. I have played it. I get back to it every so often. Um, the last time... Part of the issue I have with Hydroneer is that the progression is not well worked out. it like it is a rare game that I can simply be in it and do anything. I need my ADHD needs structure. So I work better if there's a quest type progression system where, do this, do that. And Hydroneer doesn't really have that. You're dumping it. Yet you can take quests from people, but it's haphazard because, like, you can take a quest that you've got no way of doing because you haven't reached that point yet, instead of building up to something. And that is less enjoyable for me. I don't really. Out of Ore is about the only sandbox game that I truly enjoy, because somehow this is a game I can go in and just relax. The fact that there is no quest, the fact that there is nothing specific to do, doesn't impede my enjoyment of the game. And it's about the only game where that happens. Every other game that I've played, no matter how much I like the game, there's a point where I always go, why am I playing this? Like, what's the point? And that's usually when I switch to a different game. And I won't be surprised if I hit this point with this game eventually. But I am surprised that I have yet to hit it. Like, every weekend, I come back, I get into my Tonka truck, I move dirt around, and I enjoy it. Even though there's nothing to do other than that. Like, it's, I don't know if it goes back to me playing in my sandbox or something. But I like it. I enjoy it. It is pleasant. It is relaxing. Like, at the moment, I play, on the weekdays, I play No Man's Sky. And I already know that the moment I find a game that I enjoy more than that, I will switch. because every game that I play, every time I play No Man's Sky, I complain about it almost more than I enjoy it. It's just that it's the game. What happens if I drop dirt on the ground? Okay, yeah, sure. Let me pick up dirt. Right now, you probably won't see much, and I'll show you why. I'll line myself up, and then I'll show you why. Welcome back, James. Because the way I set up my floor... Oh, actually, no, this is not... Okay, you might actually see what happened. Did I fix the issue with not being able to build past the point where I should have been able, James? If that's the one you're referring to, yes, I fixed it. I needed to restart the game. That is not something I care to do. That is not the kind of situation like I should never have to restart a game. Not a game that's been out for as long as No Man's Sky has been out. All right, so let's grab dirt. So, okay. Yeah. While it is not visible there is a gap between the floor and the actual dirt. And I would have to dump a lot of dirt down before that gap is filled. So I could do this for a while and nothing would happen. It's part of the way the mechanics do. Somebody said that the floor destroys the dirt, but I've had dirt pile up. So I don't believe the floor destroys the dirt. Less that, because it doesn't really even, well, okay, a little bit like that, because the dirt will spread, but it won't spread to the entire floor. It's just that this, while it looks like like there's no gap, there actually is something of a gap, and the floor can, it can take a decent amount before that gap will be filled. But if you want to see dirt being moved around, I can do that with this guy. What do you mean you're broken? When the hell did you break? You're gonna break soon as well. You know what? Let's be proactive. You guys are gonna break, so that's the one that broke. That is a bulldozer. Or as we call it in the game, a dozer. Injector and hydraulic pump. The injector. You're gonna call him Timmy? Hey, that works. I'm not quite that clever with names, so Timmy was not named until now. But my loader is called Big Boy, and his brother is called the Baby. Actually, I think, yeah, I have another loader, another dozer in my inventory. But all right, let's see what if you're going to move dirt around. Yep. Oh, I can carry everything in my back pocket. Superman's got nothing on me. But yeah, we can move dirt around, we can spread it, we can... when I get to the second gallery, which is going to take a while, I want to test something with the dozer. But yeah, that's the dozer. So, and this is my processing plant. It's small. When I get to the second gallery, I suspect I'm going to start getting metal, I hope. And I'm going to have to expand because I cannot process metal right now other than gold. So that is the baby. And the reason he's called the baby is because he's too little tiny. This is a tiny little loader. So that's the baby, and that's his big brother. That's the big boy. That's the guy. That's the loader I started with. Because, that's the one I could afford. And then I upgraded to the big boy. Those game, you mean like this game? That is valid. I don't think it's complicated, but by that token, I've been playing it for a while. And the other thing also is that the game does not need to be complicated. Like I said, ultimately, all it is me, my Tonka truck, and my sandbox. I don't have to do anything. Everything that I'm doing is stuff that I decided to do. So, to give you a sense of how I started. Exit to menu. Let's load the first game. This is my first game. This is when I got the game a few months ago. I started the game and I started playing with it. And I did not know how to play the game. So this is the extent of what I learned, what I did. Like, I just started, I had money, so I bought the loader, that's the baby. And I started digging. Like, then I bought this thing here that is supposed to even the ground, but I hate the damn thing. I don't know how to make it, I don't know how to get it to do properly. So I just played with that. I built a little bit of stuff to process what I had, and then I just dug, and at first I was just digging and everything was all uneven, so I started putting floors down to even things out so I would have a flat surface. And in the process of doing that, I got a bit of an understanding of how the trucks handled, what I could do and what I needed to do to get things to work the way I like it. So then I started a second game. Yes, I was, but this is the second game. I'm sort of showing you how I progressed through everything. So this is the second game, and at that point, I had a better understanding of the trucks. So digging that out went easier. You can see, while I remove the walls, you sort of can see where I got the ideas for the walls, by how even most things are. And then I started digging down. And this, looks a lot like what I'm doing right now. And, when that was done, I dug down again, and this is where I've got my metal and all that. And what happened here is that my belt work is on the side like that, and it's a mess. Like, it goes around, it follows the... It follows along that there, and every track of belt costs me energy, costs me power. And, once I was here, I kind of realized that I was like, there was a better way of doing this. Like, I kind of went, okay, you know what? If I had a central shaft around which everything worked, I would save a lot on belts. And when I reach that point, when I get an idea like that, I have to restart. I cannot just keep going the way it is. So I restarted. I started, and I always name my game something different. And this one got named The Shaft because that's what it is. Belt would be, yeah, belts in the game can be very interesting. They're not complicated, but they can be a problem. So there's the shaft, and you can see the belt, and there's the elevator that's going to go down to the next one. And, once I'm done with that gallery, I will dig this down to the level that I want it to be at, and I'll make another gallery. I may go deeper than planned, maybe. Because I really want metal, and if going down doesn't give me metal, I may go deeper. Because I'm supposed to go down 3 of these elevators. But I'm a little concerned that I'm not going to get metal at this point, that I'm not deep enough. So I'll have to adjust. But, that's, for when I get there. And first, I need to do all of this. Right, of course, because I restarted, I lost my starting level, so let's get you back there. The game is being worked on, like the game is not finished. We're expecting an update before the end of the year that's going to bring us more trucks, that's going to change some mechanics. But the game is fun as it is, to me anyway. Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Oh, give me a moment. I need to check in on something. I'm forgetting. I'm almost forgetting. Alrighty. I will not have to get out of this till 8 a.m. Yeah, one other thing that we're waiting for them to add is weight to the trucks. The trucks right now weigh nothing. You bounce them and they'll wobble, they'll jump. The physics are really interesting at the moment. But that is being worked on. The hell? Okay, what the hell is going on? Why am I not scratching the roof anymore? Upper right corner. Okay. Let me empty the dirt in my bucket. complete top right, that's my experience level, the experience points that I have. Anytime something gets processed, either by a machine or me by hand, I get a little bit of experience. The 53 in the corner, that's my current level. And level will unlock things that, in here. Right now, oh, actually, no. There's some trucks, some things that I need to reach 60 to unlock it. To go in the loader, the big boy. This guy right here unlocked at level 45. So I needed to wait. I used this guy until I was level 45, and then I bought this guy. And yeah, that's kind of the only thing the levels do. They unlock stuff. Then in the two boxes, you have the position of my bucket in relation to a 0 point, which is the red line. The 8,000, because it's smaller. This has a capacity in the bucket of 6.5 cubic meters. And this has 26.5 cubic meters in the bucket. Yes, it does look bigger, but it is actually smaller. There's, basically the way these are pictured, they've been zoomed in to fill the entire box, so that they all look to be relatively the same size, which, because the bucket is larger than the rest of the truck, makes it look larger. But in reality, this one is smaller. As with almost every game, how much something costs tells you how much more useful it's going to be in the game. So, this one costs almost 2 million. This one is 46,000. So this one is way more useful than this one. Now, the thing is, there is a use for a small loader, which is why I still keep the baby. Because when I'm starting on a gallery, there is not a lot of maneuvering space. So I can use the baby to give me more maneuvering space. That's actually part of what I want to try with the dozer on the next gallery. This one is a low profile loader, so that if all you're looking to make is a small tunnel, this is the one you want. James, -7 words of editing. The Artistocracy Chronicles. Congratulations. So yeah, this one is made for, if you want a low tunnel, which I never do. I like my big caverns. So, which is why I've got the big boy. Um, you may want to retype what you just said. Lucky, there's accidentally some things in there that the auto mod does not like. There's a typo in there that is problematic. The big boy is going to be Jeffrey, little guy Jeff. Well, as nice as that is, they're in my game. They're going to stick to the big boy and the baby. But you see how it bounced? At the beginning, you said, Nick, so things that might look together. Yeah. And this is the thing. It said it because you put it in there again. Like the... Yeah. Like because, because it's my channel, I get to see what you type, but the auto mod does not let it pass. Well, yeah, because you're a mod, James. Consider yourself hugged back, James. I left the doors open. Let's go close them. Looks about right. See? This time it did it. This time it dug. I What happens if I scrape the ceiling? Is all the dirt gonna follow me? Not at this point. The physics of the dirt are not fully realistic. If I don't put the ceiling, what will happen is that every so often a bit of dirt is going to fall on the ground. making a small hole on the ceiling. And I suspect that if it happens enough, dirt is going to accumulate on the ground. But we don't have cave-ins at this point. That's actually something we're asking for. We're hoping that the dev is going to put that in at some point. Because right now, a lot of stuff like the ceiling is mostly aesthetics. Um, yes, I will. I've got lumber being processed in one of the workbench specifically for that purpose because, yeah, I will run out of roofs. I can buy the roof already made. Actually, no. If I'm going to do that, I want building wood. Like I can buy the wood, but each piece of wood could cost 1,300. That's one piece of wood, one piece of floor or ceiling in this case. That's a little expensive. If I buy the lumber directly, it's $30 per piece of lumber, and I only need two of them to make a piece of ceiling. So for $60, I can make my own ceiling instead of spending 1,300 to buy it. And it's the same thing for the concrete. I can buy solid stone for $5 and use that to make cement that I can use to make concrete instead of buying, floor for for 1,400. Like, I don't understand the pricing mechanics, but you know what? I'll take advantage of them. No, I cannot at this time have a farm. I don't know if that is coming. If I want to get my own wood instead of buying it, I need to deforest the world. Now, the trees are supposed to regrow. But I don't know what those mechanics are like because I have yet to figure. I've yet to see a tree grow in such a way that I can tell it's grown. But yeah, like if I want to, and that's how I started. Deforesting, I find it boring So I started that way. Like for a while, I would cut down, but as soon as money was no longer a pressing issue, I started buying my lumber to make my ceilings, and I processed 1,000 into planks, 1,000 into beams, and oh, I already have 500 wood. So you know what? I'll grab that right now. I'll grab that. I'll grab that. And we'll have 500 woods going. And since we're doing that, wait. So you have 3 left. Okay, so I don't have to do anything else. So I'm going to buy 2,000. And 1,000 is going to get turned into beam. 1,000 is going to get turned into planks. And like I said, that's the thing about this game. We do what we want with it. So for me, digging the ground, digging this, to me, that is what I find satisfying. Laying down the belts is also something I enjoy. Working out, how to lay out my factory so that everything gets processed the way I like. That is also something I enjoy. I like factory games, so I do enjoy this aspect. It's not complicated, so I do like that. Like, it's not like factory games that at some point get so complicated that it's not workable anymore. Coffee's done. But it is, something that can be worked on. And I like that. But yeah, like this game, at the stage that it's at, can easily be turned into whatever aspect you enjoy for something like that. If you are someone who enjoys, just the zen of going around and cutting down trees, you can do that. The map is really big, like like this is a bit like I climbed all the way up there, and there's stuff on the other side. Like, this is a big map, so you could go around cutting down trees for a very long time if that's what someone wants to do. Just like you can lay out really complex factories. I helped someone debug their factory last week because theirs is so complex that when something didn't work out, they couldn't figure out how to fix it. So, I helped. And we worked it together. We worked out what the problem was. Okay, what the hell? How about... But yeah, I enjoy the kind of games that give you that kind of leeway. I get that, I figured that once the game is done, that's not going to be like this anymore. Like, the game will have specific goals and stuff like that. Because most people want a game. I want a game with gold. Actually, on the Discord for this game, somebody literally went, "So what's the point?" You know, and I told them the point is whatever. I'm not the only one who told them that, but the point is whatever you want it to be. And I went, "No, it can't be that." And I suspect that ultimately, once the game is done, it won't be that. That the game will have. I mean, they're actually, with the next update, they're going to add a skill tree. So right then and there, that's going to change the mechanics. I'm actually looking forward to the skill tree. I enjoy being able to customize my play that way. So. But yeah, you know, for some people, it's about making a beautiful factory. And if you look on, if you go into YouTube, you'll see some of the stuff some people do in this game, and it's impressive. And for me, it's just playing in my sandbox, me and my Tonka truck, and relaxing after a week of playing survival type games. Or not. No Man's Sky is not very much a survival game. Your fear with the complex stuff is that if one thing breaks, either it takes you hours to end up fixing it, or it breaks everything. Breaking everything in this game is not really, nothing's going to explode. But yes, it can take hours to figure out what is wrong. And if that is not something you enjoy, then yeah, that is not something you're going to enjoy if it happens. But my suspicion is that if that is not something you enjoy, you are not a fan of factory games, because it is integral to a factory game. Something breaks, you have to fix it, and it might take hours. If you're playing a factory game, that's going to be that and on that level, the aspect of the factory is like that. So yeah, if it is not something you enjoy, that is an aspect you will not want to participate in, and that is fine. You are, again, you make this game whatever. One, if it's not an aspect you're going to enjoy, you do not get the game. That's where it starts. You are not required to buy this game. Nobody should force you to buy it. And if you buy it, then, you make it what you want. You don't want to do factory, you don't do factory. You are not required to do factory. The extent of what you need to do is put a hopper down, one conveyor, and send it to a storage so that you can then take it out and sell it. You don't need to process anything. You prefer, yeah, cool. That's perfectly, that is fine. That is a different kind of game, and have fun with it. I play a little, like the forest. I haven't played the forest. I don't think, basically, if there's a zombie in it, I'm not interested. I do not care for zombie games. But I do play some survival games. I play Valheim. Right now, me and a friend are playing Icarus on Sunday afternoon. So, yeah, I do enjoy a certain level of But that's the thing. That's the nice thing these days. It's 8-foot cannibals. Does it count? I suspect that the mechanics is kind of the same. They chase you and they kill you. Um, I don't. What I don't enjoy is when the enemy is a mass of people and you're down to running or having to use something like uh, oh, if it's cannibals, does it count? Well, it depends on the mechanics. Like I get, and that's the thing. A bit with like you and factory games. That's kind of the thing. Like it depends on what the mechanic is going to be, and it depends what I'm in the mood for. My preferred type of survival game, on the whole, is the one where I can work out where the enemies are and avoid them when I want, but there'll be something where they are that I need to get at some point, so I will have to deal with them. That aspect, it is primarily, it's not a survival game, it's a factory game, but all the resource nodes are protected by creatures. So if I don't want to deal with the creatures, I stay away from those. But at some point, I'm not going to have a choice because I'm going to need that resource. But it becomes my decision. What I don't like about the zombie type game is that no matter what you do, at some point, you're going to get swarmed by the zombies. It's why I don't like Factorio if the enemies are enabled, because it doesn't matter what you do. Eventually, you're going to get swarmed by them. If there's one type of game that across the board I do not like, are the tower defense game. I don't like those at all. You can do that. Then, I'm not saying I'm going to play it, but it sounds like it would fall more within the kind of game I'd enjoy. Or at least be able to stick with long enough to enjoy. Again, because there's more to a survival game than just what the enemies are. So, but yeah, it does sound like it would be more my kind of game. I suspect right now. Really? Why did I ignore that? Huh. Okay, on your recommendation, I'm going to put that on my wish list, and it needs to be on special. Like, it's not that expensive to start with, but I don't buy a game at full price. So when it falls on special, I'll give it a try. Or if there's ever a demo for it, I'll give it a try. But that's the one you said, right? The forest. So yeah, I've put it on my wish list, and we'll see. You know, when it there is a demo. Uh, I don't see a demo on their page. Oh, there is no demo. Yeah, in that case, I'm going to wait for the game to go on special. Because as I said, I don't buy full price game. I don't have that kind of money. It got a sequel. Is the sequel any good? Son of the Forest, pretty much the same thing, but you can have a guy as kind of slave doing all the work. Short picture because those that take a while to cut. Ah. Yep. So you have to know you need like 10 swing to chop it. Cool. Well, I say cool. I mean it's a mechanic. Like uh, Icarus has something like that where each swing costs you stamina. So after a while, you need to take a break. But yeah, like I said, I've put it on my wish list, and you know, again, like don't like it's not going. It won't be tomorrow. And it might not be next week. Again, like I said, for me a game needs to be on special. So I don't know when it's going to be on special, but it's on my wish list. So I will be informed when it goes on special. Actually, I just sent Oh, that happens. Don't worry about it. I think you can, if it bothers you, I think you can highlight it and delete it since you're the one who sent it. But, you know, I wouldn't worry about it. Stuff like that happens. I'm gonna try this. That done, and only 15 minutes to go. We're gonna look into what needs to be processed. Gonna wait for all of that to be dealt with. One thing I like about the map is we see we see the progress. And you're the lurk, Lucky. I'm going to end the stream in about 10 minutes. So if you're not back, have yourself a good day. All right. It's done. So. Sell everything that we do not need. You are welcome, James. Thank you for dropping by. Hopefully, I'll see you for the Tiger Tries. -4 words of editing. The Artistocracy Chronicles. Congratulations, James. Alrighty. And with that, I'm going to call it a stream. Nope. Thank you very much, everyone, for dropping by and keeping me company. Thank you, James. Thank you, Lucky. Thank you, But It Plays. Thank you, Colo. Thank you, anyone else I may have missed. I will be back this afternoon, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the Tiger Tries, and I will be trying main sequence, the playtest. I hope to see you then. If I do not, I hope you have a good weekend, a good week when it arrives, and I'll see you when I see you.